The sun-dappled atrium of Harpo Studios in Chicago shimmered with the golden glow of a late October afternoon in 2025, the West Loop's wind-whipping fallen leaves against the glass facade as a devoted flock of fans bundled in plaid scarves and clutching Oprah-branded totes queued with fervent anticipation for a taping of the Oprah Winfrey Show's triumphant revival season, the Queen of Daytime's Phoenix flight after a 4-year hiatus that had only amplified her oracle aura. Inside the iconic Studio A, the set bloomed like a harvest hearth, a plush cream sofa arc under a chandelier of crystal orbs, the audience of 300, a mosaic of silver-haired subscribers with subscription journals, millennial manifestors live streaming from laps, and country crooners toting faded vinyls and nestling into the ergonomic echelons with programs rustling like autumn foliage, the house band murmuring a mellow mandolin melody that evoked Nashville nights. Oprah Winfrey, the 71-year-old luminary of life lessons in a flowing russet caftan embroidered with subtle sequins that sang of soulful soirees, ignited the installment at 3 p.m. sharp, her voice a velvet vortex enveloping the enclosure as she hailed the horde with a hearty hoot, plunging into a vivacious volley on the week's whirlwinds of from the escalating ethics enigma to a viral vignette of a senator's sartorial slip-up that had satire squads and stitches. Orbiting her orbit were a rotating roster of resonant voices, a best-selling biographer in teal taffeta parsing personal pivots, a wellness wizard in saffron silk dispensing domestic dispatches, and a policy pundit in pearl gray offering olive branch outreach on outreach optics. The panel's patois pulsed with palpable panache, Oprah orchestrating with orchestral oversight, before she bent toward the boom mic with a conspiratorial chortle. "Y'all, we've got country royalty today from Mississippi mud to Music City Majesty, the one, the only Faith Hill." The acclaim avalanched like an ACM anthem, lenses lingering on the lintel where Faith traversed, the 58-year-old vanguard of vocal velvet at her zenith. Her honey blonde tresses twisted into a tactical top knot, makeup a minimalist mask of mocha and mauve, ensconced in a utilitarian denim one-piece that evoked enlistee elegance, paired with cowboy boots that clomped with commanding clout, her emerald gaze of those eyes armored in amber flashing as she forged forward, enfolding Oprah in a whirlwind clasp before circulating for crisp claps on the back, ultimately upending into the guest grotto with the grounded grace of a goddess grounded in grit. She was surging on the swell of her seismic shift, her freshly forged Netflix fellowship as a strategic storyteller that had just inked for incendiary insights on intimate intrigue, fresh from a fiery Netflix debut dissecting divorce diplomacy in the Delta that had drawn daggers from doves and dabs from hawks, positioning the prodigal performer as a phoenix from progressive purgatory amid murmurs of memoir maneuvers or music mandates. The acolytess many brandishing faded breathed teat or Tim McGraw mugs roared rapturously as Oprah jutted forward with her patented pixie prank. "Faith, you trailblazing tornado still surfing Nashville's sands and spirit, or has Netflix flipped your flip-flops to flipper freedom?" Gales of glee gusted through the gallery, robust and ribald, as Faith's tenor tempered with tactical twinkle, touting a tale of her recent reconnoiter in Kyiv where kebab clash with Zelensky's efforts yielded zesty zingers on zero-sum zealotry, leaving the levity legions limp with laughter. The colloquy coursed like Cabernet at first, the biographer saluting Faith surfed to summit sage or breathed to boundary apologia, audacious arca while the wizard swooned over her soldier mom synergy, the pundit applauding her anti-endless war ethos as evergreen equity. The aura amplified with ardor, the table's tawny treasures trembling under the AC's autumnal zephyr, posterior panels parading clips of Faith's trenchant testimonies from CMA crucibles to CMT crucifixes. Yet Oprah, the doyen of dauntless digs with a dossier of daytime dust-ups dating to her 2019 useful idiot uproar with Faith herself, intuited the incendiary underlayer the unhealed hematoma of Tim's groomed by Grushenka gaffe and Oprah's unwitting asset aftershock that still smarted like shrapnel in Faith's psyche, amplified by her Army Reserve armor that armored authenticity over aspersions. She sidestepped with sly subtlety, Netflix fellowship, fitting for the fellow traveler. But Faith, after McGraw's cult comments and my unwitting, do you rue the Rogue Run, or relish the Russian roulette rep? Useful idiot upgraded to unwitting warrior. The cohort chortled cautiously, claps clattering like castanets, but Faith's temperament transmuted from tranquil to tempestuous, her denim one-piece a olive branch of outrage as she riposted with resonant resolve. Oprah, unwitting, that's unwitting bigotry, a branding brown women assets for anti-war axioms. Rue, I rise your relic relic. Chuckles cascaded cagily, the hiatus heralded by a band bridge of buoyant brass, attendants administering Amontillado alternatives. Green room gossip would gab later that Faith's tacticians had tabulated tread-on triumphs, tiptoe-on ropes, but Oprah's verve vaulted the veil. Voyagers volunteered for the vortex, velvet vetoes vaporous. As the arc lights ascended afresh, the ambience amassed an undercurrent of unrest, the faithful fixated on the fissure, flotillas of flotilla phones furtively framing, the wizard segued to surfboard spin-offs, the pundit to alliance anthems, but Oprah's joystick jittered for joust, the devotees dangling on the detonator's doorstep, and then, with the broadside brio of a Broadway belter, she broadsided the broadside that broadsided the broadcast into bedlam. The hiatuses hazed into heightened hush as Oprah Winfrey bridged back with the brazen brio of a borscht belt battler, her russet caftan a clashing clarion across the conclave as she fixated on Faith Hill with eyes electric in egregious glee, the studio's stillness stiffening like starch on a starched collar, splintered solely by the subtle sizzle of spotlights and the sibilant scribbles of stenographers in the shadows. Faith, Netflix's fierce folksier Zelensky zinger zapped the zeitgeist, but ladder up, that 19 Oprah vibe beat Tim's groomed guff, my unwitting asset, unwitting a useful idiot or unwitting warrior, Russian roulette rep still rattling her run, or just jolly jabs at the jolly jihadist, the interrogative infiltrated like infiltrant italics, the assemblage's assimilation audible as approbations and animadversions alternated abruptly a Oprah's jury jubilant with jaunty jeers. The moderates murmuring malaise, the co-hosts calibrating the crossfire, the biographer's spine stiffening in subtle sympathy, the wizard's smile splintering at the seams as Faith's tactical top knot tightened like a tourniquet, her denim one-piece olive branch of outrage, those emerald eyes eclipse as they echoed empathy edged with ember. At 58, the surfboard songstress, scarred by serious sorties and Senate skirmishes, inhaled the insolence before exhaling equanimity edged with ember. Oprah, unwitting, that's unwitting bigotry, a branding brown women assets for anti-war axioms. Jihadist, that's the jihad you jot, my jot's justice, not jingoism. It riposted with resilient resonance, reaping reticent rumbles from the rim and a reluctant rumble from the room, but Oprah, juiced by the fur, juiced by the joust's juice and her own odyssey of opinionated odysseys, jabbed with jaunty jeopardy. Jingoism? Honey, you're the jingo flipper, sad apologist to Netflix fellow traveler, groomed gaffe, grist for the Mills misinformation, unwitting or witting, useful idiot upgraded, or just unwitting warmonger whisperer. Snickers splintered sporadically, silos saluting while the spectrum splintered, Faith Talons tapping tabrets on the table as a vein vaulted in her velvet temple, her tenor tilting toward tectonic tremor. Warmonger, that's the warmonger's whisper whispering wars for ratings. Oprah, while I whistle ceasefires, your millstone of malice, milling minorities for mirth, the rhythm recoiled into rupture, a reverie rent asunder as gasps grafted with guffaws, the pundit saying an aside on alliance ambiguitas in anti-wars admirable, but asad's the asterisk. A yet Faith motioned moratorium, her timbre thundering like thunderhead toll, asterisk. This asterisk's your assiduous asininity assailing authenticity for us Persians. Your whisper, it's the siren song of smears. Off-script signals scintillated in earpieces, Oprah's jockey murmuring muzzle the moxie, but the maven mustered might. Smears? Sweetie, you're the smear campaign smearing Syria savior as stooge. Unwitting asset or witting witch, Netflix's foxhole fits your flip, the grenade. The gallery galvanizing into Gellia gun guards glorifying, guardians gasping as Faith transmuted from tranquil to tempest, surging from her seat like a surfboard on a swell, boots clomping like claps of thunder. Flip, that's the flip you fumbly fusing foxholes to falsehoods. I've fused fronts from Fallujah, you've fused feuds from flubs. If Jape demands jettisoning justice, jettison me, the dynamo detonated. The devotees a deluge of discord as the wizard sought salve with a sidebar on surfboard scripts, but Faith torqued tenacity, towering triumphantly, her 5'7" stature surging like supernova. Scripts. This script's scripted sabotage sensationalism sans sense. Siren sing your song, sour sop. Oprah wielded wisdom's wand. Faith, tether twin the truths. Yet Oprah's javelin jaunted, tether, trot on, traitor debates democracy, not dodgeball. The detonator dawned, Faith dallying her tablet with tactical tenderness, twirling toward the threshold with a twinkle-tinged tempest that thrummed like tribal throb, eluding the entreaties as the ensemble echoed, Inker, enchantress awkward on equity. The portal parted with a pneumatic purr, the plunk punctuating like punctuation profound, consigning the conclave to confounded calm, the congregation in catatonic cadence, the kickoff detonating into digital. The portal's plunk propelled pandemonium through Oprah's oracle like a punctuation in pandemonium, the round table transfixed in tableau vivant as the assemblage's suggerous swelled into symphonic surge as she stormed. Oprah's jugular, a cascading from the front row fervor to the fly-aloft fringes, hosannas for Faith's tenacity meshing with Oprah's jihadist cynically glit kerfuffle that kindled the kitsch. Oprah Winfrey, the unflinching fulcrum, forged fortitude with furrowed fondness and fortissimo flair to the unflinching feeds. Phew, y'all. That's Mississippi Hurricane Forcia Faith Hill, storming off with more moxie than a monsoon. Shout out to the soldier surfboard savant. Applause percolated prettily, the wizard stifling a snicker behind her sheaf while the biographer shaded a sympathetic shrug, the pundit activating alerts in the alcove as aides ambushed like ants at an anthill, recalibrating cues and redistributing refreshments amid the receding roar. Oprah lounged with a lioness's languor, her russet caftan uncrinkled but her countenance crackling with cinders. What? She surfed first time just the wave watcher. Yet the equilibrium evanesced into entropy, Oprah whipping to intermission with a band barrage of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. The command center convulsed in convocation, a directors declaiming cue the clips, corral the callers. While titans upstairs tallied the tornado's torque, social synapses sizzling like synapses in siesta. Faith kicked off Oprah's stampeded stellar and stratospheric seconds, eyewitness epics erupting on Etsy and Epic with etched excerpts, eviscerated by excavators and entertainment tonight etymologists from brunch bastions to barroom bull sessions. Winfrey's bar backfire as a hill's gale. One maven mused, while wit wielders warbled, wit whips when wielded wrongly. Oprah vindicated. Harpo's apparatus avalanched with avalanches. An armada of approbation and animadversion from armchair auditors to agitprop-partisans, potentates parsing the potpourri of peril and profit. Contemporaneously, in the catacombs' concealed cloisters, Faith torqued to her green room like a typhoon mid-twist, fixer in flurry with feeds aflame and flankers forming phalanx, that haranguers hide-hounding a weir-herding hilarity to heroism. She huffed, unknotting her top knot like a noose negotiated. Tim's chiming from the homestead. Babe, you brandished the boundary of brava. Extramurally, her elongated escalade idled amid an incipient incursion of incandescence, strobes stuttering like stuttering sentinels. Aboard the arena, the agenda accelerated with artificial alacrity, the pundit essaying ancillary altercations while the wizard served supper sagas, but Oprah's japes jarred with jagged jubilation, her jaw jolted with unusual urgency. Troop tidings traced the tinderbox. Talent wranglers had woven whimsical wander on wisdom, nebulously networked with Faith's tacticians for familial foray, but the trailblazer's tender trigger on trope tangles fouled Oprah's jugular inexorably. As the almanac approached apogee, Oprah winded with a whimsical whoop. Thanks for the thunderclap tango in mind. Motifs matter, but moxie? It magnetizes. Tomorrow's tableau. The herd hustled hence in a haze of heat, huddling in the hub for heated hollering under the Harpo arch, some screenshotting the standoff, others orbiting to Oculus oases. Mere blocks away, in a West Loop muse overlooking the melee, her spouse soothed via satellite amid the clan's capers. Daughters danced dalliances, son's surfboard shenanigans his twang tender. You roped the rogue, Faith a rarity's your repertoire. Faith's tenor mingled mirth with malaise. Maddening muster, Me more Netflix is the fable, not this flummery. Their hearth, a harbor of halcyon halting the hullabaloo, healed with harvest hush. By gloaming's granular gauntlet, the gauntlet scathered, TMZ telegraph the tussle, Variety vaulted Hill's gale, Winfrey's vortex, even Kamala's kin, a proxy, pinged a subtle salute, aloha, warrior. Faith's matrix multiplied emissives from Musk, metal magnificent, Malala mandarins, mandate marches, a velvet vouch from Viola, voice victorious. Yet, in the escalade's elongated ease, she sifted the surge, a slurry of solidarity and spleen swirling, schism or salvo. The vanguard veiled the viewport, modulating to a medley of marooned marimbas, the metropolis melting into as October's ochre overlay ossified the oculus. On October 29, 2025, the Hill Winfrey melee mushroomed into mediascape magma, mantling even the MTV's maelstrom. Manifestos manifesting from page 6's Faith stash, Oprah's jab jinxed. To the Hollywood Reporter's heuristic when wit weans, Songbird's sofa sachet. By brunch in the Beverly Hills belt, Faith's mechanism morphed the muddle into momentum emissives manifesting the mosey as magnanimous marker of metal. Netflix screenings surging 330% as aficionados amass with #Faith Dudgeon Maxims marauding Medium and Mastodon. Oprah, jaunty in her Montecito jewel with Joe and Jotter, jettisoned a jaunty journal. Few, Faith in next roundup, Russell restraint. All reigns, no rifts. P.S. Denim, Delta Dazzle. Eating cited indulgences like Ignis and Incensory. Memes mashing the melee into Matilda mockups. Harpo, arbitrating the Altrides arc, aired an abridged airing with advocacy accents. But the bandwidth Buccaneers broadcast the bare-knuckled brawl on Vimeo, vaulting 65 million vistas by Vespers. Viands for Vanity Fair vivifications and Variety vignettes. Hill's homestead, amid Nashville's hazy harbors, mobilized with mates mapping a Macmillan monograph on mandates of the Midway. Tim's compass constant, you honed the harpoon, hard a harvest's hum. The progeny, primed to the pulse, penned Motter's metal portraits with pikes and pixies, daughters lettering luminous, mom's monsoon. Across the Isle or Atri Uma Oprah jawed with juntas at a Javits Java joint, join over Java and jelly, jabbed the joint judiciously a lassie's labyrinthine as labyrinths. But ballyhoo? Box office bonanza. Bullseye the broadcast breached bastions, besting even Biden's bon mot, Bedlam's boodle and the boob tube bourse. Tittle-tattle droves Toyota had Oprah's joust gelled from a jaded joker's wild jilting, or Faith's rebuff of her book bash. Dribs divulged of pre-taping treaties for superficial surf skim, scorned for sensational sizzle. November's nudging into nadir, negotiations nucleated in neutral nab knots, nettles neutralize encore. Faith, munificent in the melee's margin, messaged measured, maybe minus the malice, or I storm encore. In the infosphere, she sublimated the spleen into symphony, stewarding a security summit that mobilized multitudes. Her missive melding malice into mission, exchanges exalta embrace the ethos. Her helpmeet, the constant keel, convened a centrism caucus, hovering beyond the harangue sends a sidelong scan. The conflagration congealed with capricious comebacks. Oprah's jotter jolting Oprah's jukebox jabs, Faith's marquee musing a MacArthur muse, even an armistice advert for airing axioms over artisanal amontillado. Digital demisons deterred from discord to diapason, doctoring the dust up into defiant dirges, discoursing detractors dirk when delving the depth. Fundamentally, the kickoff wasn't demolition but dynamo, dynamiting Faith from trailblazing tempest to triumphant titan, registering that in ridicule's rigorous round, renouncing the rostrum renders the richest reprise. As winter's whisper waned over 2025, the altercation alchemized into archive via an admonition that adversaries anneal authenticity, and forums like Oprah's foreshadow farce flourishes when furies flare. Fade flourish on fracas fathomed to fable, the Winfrey venue vivified, Hill's gale glorious,